Hey Peaches, and welcome to Peaches by Starlight Tarot. This is your weekly pick-a card reading as it relates to love and relationships. I'm using the Linestrider Tarot and Divine Feather Messenger, and at the end of each reading I'll be doing three cards at the end of each using flower therapy. So stack 1 is the fish, stack 2 is the skunk, stack 3 is the fox, and they are timestamped below. This is a general reading for the collective for lots of different people, and so if you want a private reading all to yourself with only your energy, my Etsy page is linked below and you can create your own reading using the decks that you want. If you hear something that is helpful to you, please give it a like, and if you hear something that you feel will benefit someone else, please share it with them. And if you want to keep up with me every Saturday, go ahead and subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, those of you who chose stack 1, or chose, whoops, I almost dropped it, the blue fish. Your feather is from the vulture. It says, accept the inevitable, let go of the past, and welcome a rebirth to begin. Okay. You have the 2 of Cups, 3 of Swords, and the Ace of Swords in reverse. All right, so the vulture is very much like the death card. It's a purification. It's purification energy. And like it says, it's clearing, it's like removing what's old and what's dead and what's rotten so that new growth will have fertile soil for it. It does show you moving forward in a relationship. The 2 of Cups is the favorite card for any love reading. Leveling up from wherever you are. Whatever the next level of commitment is, the next level of intimacy or commitment is from where you are. Partnership, equality, union, alignment. And it happens only when this reverse Ace of Swords. This is unlearning outdated information, outdated beliefs about yourself and your story and what a painful experience taught you to believe. It's like you get a fresh start after you can clear all that away with the vulture and reverse Ace of Swords. That's what's happening here, is that breaking down of the old, breaking down of what's rotten and toxic and dead so that it isn't in that soil to poison the new growth that's happening between you and another. The 3 of Swords is your trauma, and it's your worldview or the parts of your worldview that came about as a result of that trauma or any painful experience. Painful experiences do shape us, and they teach us and harden us in certain ways and put up barriers in certain ways. The reverse Ace of Swords here is the opposite of new information. It's not new information coming to you. It is the clearing away and the cutting away of old information, false information it's information that limits your idea of what you deserve, limits your idea about what's possible, tells you the way things are always going to be and the way people just are and the way people are just going to respond to you. Now, I don't know if this is true because I read a lot and some of it is very scientific and some of it is pseudoscientific, but here's what I remember learning, and I don't know, maybe you know better, or maybe information has changed, but that when the infant's brain is learning and developing, that it is more culling and trimming and pruning of extraneous and superfluous synaptic connections where so the relevant ones can become stronger. So that's like what's happening. It's like trimming and pruning irrelevant data. And so it's like unlearning. The big word for all of this, I would say, is unlearning toxic negative self-talk, mistrust, codependency, fear of being alone, that you have to compromise yourself in order to be in a healthy relationship, that you have to put the other first in order to be in a healthy relationship, having been taught against self-care first, or that happiness will always be elusive to you. Whatever that way of thinking is, anything that is a barrier to intimacy you're just slashing that out and cutting it out, and you're starting something new with this gorgeous Two of Cups right here. So go ahead and set your intention for whether you feel like card 1, 2, or 3 will have a message for you, or all, or 2, or whatever you want. And let me tune in. All right, card 1 for the fish. New beginnings, haha. Take this as an opportunity to rise from the ashes stronger and more determined. Hey, hey, how about that? Amen. Card 2, balance, work, rest, and play. It's important for you to have fun along with fulfilling your responsibilities. Now that would have been really relevant in one of the career readings earlier. All right, card 3, wise soul. Your soul carries ancient wisdom. Please embrace it as you have the knowledge to help those around you. So it is using your innate, the knowledge you were born with, to cut through and override some of that learned information that pain has kind of altered and can be overriding and speaking over what your soul really knows. Okay? So go ahead and like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you next Saturday. Thank you. Okay, those of you who chose stack 2 or chose the adorable skunk, your feather is from the peacock, and it says, inherent wisdom is emerging at this time. Watch it and ready yourself for a rebirth. And you have the 5 of Swords, the Page of Cups. Now that's a rebirth right there, if there ever was one, so that's an echo. You have the High Priestess in reverse. So these two right here, they are echoing each other. It is like a spiritual awakening, third eye opening, synchronicities, awareness of your ability to tap into the collective unconscious, perceive source wisdom. Okay, starting to recognize and tap into that there is something more, and leveling up in the spiritual sense. Even if it's only even if it's only whetting your curiosity. But it's the kind of the time when you start to see more number synchronicities and animal synchronicities and lyrical synchronicities. And you feel like the divine is speaking right to you all the time, just screaming at you, okay? So with the 5 of Swords is your guidance through this conflict. This is the only card that you have here that's really pertaining to how you relate to another. And since this is a relationship reading, or a love reading, if you will, it's going to be talking about conflict and anywhere you have an intense and self-defeating need to be right. It's about the battles that you choose and how short-term gains can cost you lasting success. How winning every argument can feel good and feel like you're on top and feel like you have a great relationship because you're in control all the time. But each one of those wins for you is a loss to your partner, and each one of those is a drop in the resentment bucket for them, okay? So the reverse High Priestess here, it's our clue to what all this is about. This is knowing the difference between fear and intuition. And when she's upside down, there's a tendency to be misinterpreting or mistranslating. Knowing the difference between fear and intuition, trauma responses and intuition, insecurity and intuition, projection and intuition. All of these things that the ego can throw up at you to keep you safe, that you interpret as just a feeling I have. It's just, there's a difference between, so when you have just a feeling, that's not necessarily always your intuition. It can be, but sometimes it's something that your ego is telling you to protect you. It can be, all these things can be confused for intuition if you haven't developed a system of discerning between the two. Like whether it comes from here or from back here, that's mine. Like where it comes from in your body, or whether it's physical. It's like it'll come from like physically different places. Whatever that means for you is kind of different for everybody, and that's what you're learning right here and figuring that out. I want to say if you make if you have just a feeling and you haven't done that work and figured out the difference between if it's your ego protecting you or if it's an actual intuitive hit, if you make accusations against your partner and they really are innocent, that can become a toxic situation and they could start to feel gaslighted. And how you frame it can matter. If you say, you did this versus this is how I'm feeling, that can be a toxic way of communicating between the two of you. So, but back to the Peacock and the Page of Cups here, you are discovering the difference. You are getting clear insights and you'll know the difference because intuition, there is a sense of peace, a peaceful, I would say lack of tension, even if it's the worst. And there can be cognitive dissonance and tension and resistance to something that you might be telling yourself is good when your intuition knows that it isn't. When the story isn't what your intuition is telling you from, that universal knowledge of reality. So, yeah, that when you have a fear that isn't in alignment with reality, it can feel very tense and it can feel very, there'll be a dissonance with it. Whereas even if you are having an intuitive hit that isn't the best news and isn't what you like, there will be a certain acceptance of it because that is what it is. And knowing it helps you to move on with real knowledge, with knowing what the actual situation is and not being in conflict with what is or being fearful of something that isn't actually what's going on. If that makes any sense. All right, go ahead and set your intentions. Whether you feel like card 1, 2, or 3, we'll have a message for you. And I'm making a mess. Let me put these all back right side up. And it doesn't have to be just card 1, 2, or 3. It can be a combination of any 2. Or you can have all 3 and have them pertain to different situations if you like. All right, let me tune in. All right, card 1. Nope, that's 2. I want 1. Card 1. Emotional healing. It's safe for you to let go of old emotional pain. By doing so, you allow your heart to mend. Holding on to that old stuff will definitely block. It's like clutter. That old clutter will block your intuition. It's like having a really shitty secretary. Card 2, Wise Soul. Your soul carries ancient wisdom. Please embrace it as you have the knowledge to help those around you. Yes. That's exactly the message of the peacock right there. Card 3. And with the Page of Cups, you might be just newly awakening to that. Catching a glimpse of that. Card 3. Take time for yourself. Enjoy relaxation activities that nurture your soul. That'll help you get that silence you need and take a step back from the conflict so that you can hear what your intuition is trying to tell you. Okay, like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you next Saturday. Thank you. Okay, those of you who chose stack 3 or chose the adorable fox, your feather comes from the pheasant. It says, the time is right for creation and connection. Focus your attention in those areas. Okay, you have the 8 of Swords. Thoughts that might be getting in your own way. 9 of Swords. And the Wheel of Fortune. I love the Wheel of Fortune in this deck because look at that. That's very lovers-like energy to me. That imagery, anyway. Alright, so, and this knot too, speaking of imagery, it's like this labyrinth of thought that gets you kind of lost in your own mind. keeping you trapped and not sure which way to go. And the stuckedness starts to become this echo chamber, and it ratchets up until it evolves into the 9. And this may be how you're coming into the week. I feel like very much up in your head with your worries and concerns. And, but there's a slow burn to it as well. It's like a roller coaster. That's the, you know, it'll slowly crankety up and up and up and up and up. And it's like not really fun in and of itself. It's like this slow build and this buildup of tension. And then when you come to the peak, and here you have the Wheel of Fortune, you're rounding that peak, and now the fun is actually underway and exploding from that energy that created. It's like the higher it brings it, the more of that, you know, feeling those butterflies you get when you finally come down and start moving again. So let's see. I also feel like this is the last whimpering gasp of your last fuck to give. Like, you're out after this. And once that's done, your energy is revived, your creativity and passion and everything that is conducive to a happy partnership can be revived and regenerated and rejuvenated. It's like after you give that last fuck, there is a harmonious and supportive environment for you to like slam together and connect in whatever way that means. I feel like there may have been a week where you and your partner or interest may have not had a lot of communication and may have been very much in your own minds. Like, you might have been worried about school or work or money, and they might be worried about unemployment or transportation, you know, whatever it is, or family or illness, body, whatever's going on in each of your lives has been really kind of tying you each up, feeling like I've just bound in your own mental space. And each of you are finally like, I fucking had it, and given your last fuck, and now it's like, it's time to slam together. And there is nesting energy, collaborative energy. It can be sexual in nature, and probably is. You probably need it, but there's also something very creative about it as well. And it doesn't have to mean babies, unless that's what you're after. But I'm feeling whatever it is, it's a time for creative output, if nothing else. Okay, let me set your intention, whether you feel like card 1, 2, or 3 will have your message, and let me tune in. Card 1. All right, I might have started too soon. Hang on, I don't know if it was quite ready to speak. Let me tune in. Okay, that's better. Card 1. You don't just have to choose one. You can choose more than one, or you can choose all 3. Card 1. New beginnings. Take this as an opportunity to rise from the ashes stronger and more determined. All right. Card 2. Open your third eye. It's safe for you to open your center of clairvoyance. By doing so, you'll see the truth. Yeah, this 9 of Swords, this is being very up in your head. That's not... It's hard to get through that. That opening your third eye is kind of like that trap door out of that mental energy, allowing the light in. See how he's staring up at the moon there? That fox is. Hey, check it out. I just realized. Got a fox and a fox. All right. Card 3. Raise your vibration. Your intuitive feelings are accurate messages from the angels. All right, guys. Like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you next Saturday. Thank you.